I get so excited. I just want to remind all the listeners out there, I can't even let Marissa do her job. She's like, come on now, fam. I had a cue.
I know.
It's in the script.
Can I use my other cue? You ready for that? You ready for it?
All right, let's hear it. All right, that makes me feel a little bit better. But hey, I just want to remind all the listeners out there, you're listening to the Chris Collins Show.
That's right.
And we got Samantha Mehlinger. You write a phenomenal column for the Long Beach Business Journal called The Millennial Pulse, and I love it. Don't miss a beat on it because we need our voices heard out there. That's really what the Chris Collins Show is all about. And, as we were talking about wealth, with the millennials, why is the millennial wealth deficit so startling, yet we lead the charge for Black Friday shopping?
I think it actually makes sense if you consider what a wealth gap is. So all that means, it doesn't mean that we're poor or that we don't have wealth. It just means that I, as a 31-year-old, have less money than my dad did when he was a 31-year-old.
Right.
It doesn't mean I'm broke, but
does for me.
For real.
If we have less money, it actually makes more sense that we'd be waiting for a day with a lot of discounts to do all of our shopping on big ticket items.
That's a true point.
Yeah.
But it also kind of startles me too because Thanksgiving Day records, online sales were $4.2 billion with 60% of the sales from millennials.
Yeah. I bought 4
insane.
dresses. Including this dress.
You know what's so funny?
I like that dress.
I always go Black Friday.
She's wearing a Chris Collins blue
That's right.
dress.
I planned it that way.
I know.
We like
you
it.
are so millennial
You're awesome.
smart.
But to me, it's wild because there was even a Nelson finding that American millennials are 87% more likely to do impulse buying while shopping than any other generation. But then again, I was reading this thing that Generation X planned to spend $452 on average last weekend, while the millennial shoppers were pretty darn close with $446.
Yeah.
And I think it really does leverage to what you were saying. It's like we hold all our money to the last second to get all those goodies.
I'd also be curious to know the difference in what those generations are buying.
True.
Like, are millennials spent dropping all that money on, like, one really great TV, and Gen X is buying a bunch of clothes? Like, I don't know. I'd be curious to know.
It's funny that you said that. I was really
Yeah.
thinking the same thing, too, because, obviously, the PS4, it's moving on. There's going to be the PS5. Everything's half
I
off.
was a Nintendo girl.
every-
I'm sorry.
You were a Nintendo girl?
Yeah.
Well, what was your
Me
game
too.
of choice?
Zelda, obviously.
Zelda.
Yes.
I would totally.
I knew every single secret, every single hidden thing. I wanted to marry Link.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us did. Even the
wanted
guys.
Mary Lake
Yeah,
too?
of
That's
course.
right.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bad butt. That's all I can say on here. FCC, they're outdated. But you're absolutely right, because I feel like with the Gen Xers, they got family of 4, and they're using that $100 value on each child to try to get them at least something going into the break. So with me, I going into 2020, when I start thinking about the millennial generation, if there was one topic that you would want to focus on going into the new year, would it be affordable housing? Would it be healthcare? Would it be student loan or student debt? Or is there something on there that I'm missing, or like climate change?
Yeah, I don't think I'd pick any of those, because I think those are all the top line issues, but it's my opinion that nothing can be done about any of those things given the current political divide in the country. So I would choose the political divide as the topic that really needs to be tackled in 2020, and that millennials can do the most to tackle.
You're not tired of the political
No, I am,
divide
but
talk? I'm
Pew
tired of
Research
it.
Center says that 44% of millennials are independents.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
am.
largest.
I am.
Yeah, me too. That's the largest share of millennials compared to, fewer identify with parties.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason millennials are so disengaged is because of the political divide in the country.
Agreed.
And if
Right.
so many are independents, then really if we actually participate in our democracy by voting or by running for election, we might actually be able to change things and get something done about all of those issues.
Well, the thing with me is, it seems like there's so many times when you're watching these primaries, there's too many of them. And if you ask any millennial in here, and I dare anybody on the Chris Collins Show team to come up here and try to guess 5 presidential candidates, because I'm sorry, I have no faith. I have no faith in even in my own team. Even Andre's shaking his head, and he's going, no. So this is leading me on to my right. And so they're too scared to get on the mic and even try to guess 5. And this is only proving my point about how I feel with millennials trying to identify themselves as an independent. For example, a lot of them are really upset with how, the 2016 elections was handled. And obviously the president right now is really causing a lot of startling things that are happening around. Man, there's a lot of moving parts in the studio right now.
Because I'm trying to get your Gmail up. Without
gotcha. I was so
intruding on
confused.
our thing.
But right, so back onto my point. So with the independents, to me, it seems like right now, obviously we've had a finding in the Pew Research Center that 60% of millennials are actually getting their news content off Facebook. And to me, I see that as
horrible.
a major
Yeah,
problem
that's not
because obviously whatever your political alignment is, or if there's Bernie Sanders that you're interested in, or Kamala Harris, or
No,
whatever.
she's out.
Yeah,
And I
she's
know
out.
she is out, but you would obviously form your opinion off something that you like. So with my thing is, I feel like with millennials, they're not hearing both sides of the spectrum. Like even some people are just taught really early in college, they don't even want to look at anything from Fox News. To me, I think that's a little bit scary. I mean, wouldn't you want to at least know where some of the right wingers are going and where some
I
of the
think
left?
millennials are probably getting more of their news from Facebook because we're all sick of cable news, because cable
Yeah.
news is just as politically divisive as Congress is. I mean, you can look at, I can tell you which station leans which way, and that's the only thing that they give you all day, every day. So it's not surprising. It is disappointing because we all know the issues that Facebook has.
Right.
I would encourage them to maybe fine tune their news thing on their iPhones and try to get BBC and PBS and some other good
I like
content in
BBC,
there.
except it was been stuck on the hearings for
Well, that's
for,
another
forever.
point, right?
So is
and
everyone.
I don't mind I don't mind seeing the clips.
Yeah.
I'm a clip person.
Well,
I'm
I
like,
think
but
we're
I'm
all pretty
but
burnt
come
out on
on.
the hearings too. It's
Like,
kind
how-
of a circus.
Do you know how many hearings there have been? I can't even keep
No,
count because I
I'm
got
not
so
watching
drowned
them.
out.
I watch maybe 2 minutes a day, and then
Because
it's
it's
the same.
It's 6
every day.
hours long, and sometimes you feel like I feel like I need to come in there into that building and be 2 hour limit. That's it. Everything else is just a bunch of jargon, and everybody wants to be I dislike when everybody always wants to bring up the framers, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Can we just talk in present time? And especially
Our
when you're
framing
Well,
founders.
They're trying to
Yeah.
they're trying to put together a legal argument. They're trying to do their job as Congress.
What
but
is
most
bribery?
of America doesn't want to sit there and listen to them
No.
formulate their complex
No.
legal
I feel like we've
argument.
all had
At the
a
end of the
history
day, I
class.
just don't care.
Right.
I just don't care at the end of the day. You know what I want? I want some stuff fixed so I'm not so broke.
I think most of us feel that way. Yeah.
No.
I don't think this is our top line issue. I think we want somebody in office, or many people in office, who will take care of the things we're concerned about rather than
Well, in
Right.
that, on
Wasting all
that
this time
note,
on
where do
the
you see our
impeachment.
generation heading in the next decade? It's a
I
big
mean-
decade, but,
that's kind of a tough one. Hopefully,
Or I can word it the way that you put it, which
Okay.
I loved.
but
What can we do to ensure the 20s again will roar
Yeah.
rather than whimper?
yeah.
Ooh, it's directly out of the
Close
Millennial Pulse.
Yes.
I know.
I mean, I think the key is that we really need to get off our butts and start becoming active in the things that we
Right.
care about, rather than just sitting typing away on our phones and computers saying this is how we feel. I think if our generation actually wants to make an impact, which we can because we're the largest living generation,
yeah.
we have to start doing things and trying.
Yeah.
Right.
I realize that a lot of us were discouraged by the Great Recession, so maybe we're all, still traumatized by that, but it's been 10 years. Get over it.
No,
Let's
it's
do
true. And
something.
one of my favorite things is this band called Bring Me the Horizon. And I think they had this song called Anti-Vis, which is talking about exactly what you're saying, being so frustrated with our generation, even the generation that they're a part of, that there's so many times where people go on the keyboards, they'll be eating their hot Cheetos, smacking on the keypad, thinking that they're making a difference, but we're actually going nowhere. And then they
Yeah.
wonder why climate change hasn't made any efforts in the legislation, or whether, in the affordable housing, or is anybody going to get to the bottom of the
Yeah.
whole healthcare situation. And to me, because I was telling Marissa a little bit during TLDR, I'm going through a little bit of a midlife crisis right now.
You mean a quarter life crisis?
Is that the better way to frame
Yeah.
it? I
Because
mean,
Unless you're
not
50, I don't
well,
think.
right now, even as you were stating in the Millennial Pulse, the morality rates are starting to go up in recently, when we start reaching the age of 55
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
60. So maybe I am at my midlife crisis if you think about it. If I don't
No,
start
that
getting
would
the
make
base.
you do some math, man.
That's
That would
26.
make you 52.
Right?
That's
well,
not.
he's saying
But I'm saying-
our mortality rates are
It went from
dropping.
78 to like 73 or something.
Yeah.
Like it didn't drop as much as you're thinking.
I'm just saying because there's a lot
Are
of
you
people
worried?
that.
You really are having a crisis.
Well, yeah,
Well, what's your
'cause-
crisis
well,
about?
my
You had to
biggest thing
pay
is
for health insurance?
Well, you got to pay for health
Oh,
insurance.
I'll
You
do
get
it.
off your parents' plan. You go into this whole open enrollment where I feel like you don't really learn enough going into the high school level. But
I agree.
You know,
I agree. How to balance a checkbook, how to understand about stocks, where do you invest your money,
Yes.
what is a 401k? I mean, I can list
I have
so
never
many
used
things.
pre-calculus in my adult life once.
exactly.
Yeah. No, I never even got that far. But, I mean, I didn't.
Yeah,
I
we
never
got to
used
geometry and then we tapped out and then we
never
went
even
into
used it.
student body,
You know,
all right?
like it's a triangle. I don't know what kind of triangle. It's a triangle. What do I care?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is so true. But I just want to remind all the listeners out there that you're listening to the Chris College Show, and we have our contributor, Samantha Mehlinger, in the house with the Long Beach Business Journal. She writes a phenomenal column called the Millennial Pulse, and where can they find you?
They can find me at lbbusinessjournal.com and on Twitter at Sam Mehlinger.
That's right. And stick around because we still have more left of just talking. That's right. You're listening to the Chris College Show, and we got contributor Samantha Mehlinger in the house. She writes a phenomenal column called the Millennial Pulse for the Long Beach Business Journal. And let's get right on into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into the biggest debate that's been happening in 2019.
Uh-oh.
Okay millennial versus okay boomer.
Where are you?
How
where
do you feel
where
about
do you
this
stand on this
situation?
one?
I
It's a
think
hot topic.
It's funny as a quip, but I don't really think it's doing us any favors as like a society. Is it?
Not as a society.
I think it's
but
hilarious.
I laugh.
But I laugh when you hear like a radio host like Glenn Beck get all sassy on there.
It's
you know?
funny as a meme, and it's funny to shut people down when they're being unreasonable, is
Right.
what I would
Yeah.
say. But why are the millennials and the boomers constantly the ones that are going at each other? Gen X just sits in the corner like twiddling
Yeah.
their thumbs.
I'll be
They're
honest.
just as
Where are
bad.
the memes for them?
I really don't go after the okay boomers. Really? Because
Yeah.
my mommy and daddy still help me out.
Yeah, me
Like
too.
I'm gonna be real
Yeah.
honest. Like my daddy paid me $500 to get my roof fixed.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
Well,
Like,
that's
I
what's-
actually don't really attack them because they are still helping me out. And I
Yeah.
mean, well, yes, I think some of our economy can be laid at their feet on some issues, but at the end of the day, it's economy. It fluctuates. You know what I mean? And I
No,
need to like.
It's totally
pull
true.
my
I
big
mean, I
girl
was
panties.
just saying I was going through the whole open enrollment during the age of 26, and you know, I literally hit up Obamacare first, right? And I was on the phone, and this lady, I was like, I just want to go and talk to an individual about my situation. She goes, "Oh, you want to talk
luck.
to your mommy?" That's literally
you
how she responded
serious?
back.
I
I
love
was
her.
beyond shocked,
By
right?
the way, I love her.
literally kind of gasped for the first time. I went, "Really?" And I said,
Wow.
"Of
Yes,
course
I
I'm
do.
going to talk to my mommy, okay? Because she's been paying for my insurance for 26
So
years."
Obamacare, the new DMV.
The Obamacare is the new DMV.
That's why you
absolutely
have, honestly,
right.
the covered California is probably the least.
That's exactly
fishy,
where I
the least
went.
fishy one to try
Yeah.
to find insurance. It really is. And now you might not qualify, and you
Right.
still got to go on your own. But if you do, they're the least amount of being like, here's horrible insurance.
But even during your process, let's just kind of bring you back to with open enrollment. How did you feel during those times?
Well, I
Did
am
you-
employed, so I didn't have to. I have employer health care.
Yes.
So I can't remember what the rules are. It's like pretty much most small businesses have to provide
Right.
it at this point if you're full time.
Mhm.
If you're part time, forget it. In fact, a lot of businesses
Yeah.
have changed a lot of their staffing to mostly part time, so they don't have to pay for health care.
Yeah.
But luckily, I mean, they changed my plan. They said like pick which one, and I was like,
Yeah.
Are you
okay.
But that
PPO
gets
or
Sort
very
of point the
overwhelming.
finger at the page and
But
say
are you
that one.
are you PPO or HMO?
I picked a PPO.
Yes, I'm huge on PPO.
You know, I have
Huge on it.
allergies. I have all these issues.
You
I'd
gotta
rather
be
just
able to
go
go
see
to
the
a doctor
person
And
right
for
away.
the
to-
millennials
yeah.
out there, Marissa, could you do the due diligence to kind of explain the difference between the two?
Well, the main difference is in an HMO, you go to one doctor
Mm-hmm.
and within a group, and that doctor refers you out to different specialists.
Gotcha.
Where with, and you have to sometimes wait for that specialist. It can kind of be a queue. Where with the PPO, you can actually call directly to a doctor, and as long as they
Yeah.
accept
You don't
the
have
PPO,
to wait for a
you
reference.
can get in right
Gotcha.
away.
Mhm.
And I have zero patience.
that's
I
what
wanna
I-
get in
Same.
right. I'll pay that extra $20 a
Like
month.
I want to go tomorrow.
Yeah,
not
no,
in 2 months.
that's a great point, and
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty about it, because even on your own show, you learn something new. And I'm like, and I'm not going to
Well,
pretend to the
no,
listeners
mean,
that I know
I've been
everything.
dealing
It's
with
like
insurance for the last,
Yeah.
way too long, over a decade.
Yeah.
Where you're just now getting in, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't know these things.
It's
Yeah.
not
There's
easy.
no class
and,
for it.
And just because you're at the age of 22, I highly recommend not wait, or like don't wait to like literally start researching into how to protect yourself, because if you wait to the last second like I did and then try to rush it and try to cram it in by what it was December 7th,
I know. I'm actually doing mine today.
It's
I'm doing mine today. I haven't done it yet.
The easiest thing you can do is search the networks for your doctor if you have one, and it'll Cover California will tell you which plans have your doctor in the network if you already have one.
So that's okay. So
that's a good way to do it.
That's so true. But to get back to the OK Boomer versus the OK Millennial, why hasn't the baby boomer generation figured out that ageism is a key factor in figuring out one another? Because,
I would like to quote Ferris Bueller, who said, "Isms, in my opinion, are not good. A person should not believe in an ism. He should believe in himself."
Ooh.
That's how I feel about isms.
I like that. Go Ferris Bueller.
My favorite movie.
That's what happens when you get to high
ageism, I
school.
mean, that's prejudice based on your age, right? So that's not good. But if you're talking about...
Is it as bad as the N-word?
Yeah, did you hear about that situation?
Boomer? No, no.
Andre in the back.
It is not.
It is still not as bad.
Just to remind the listeners out there, radio host Boomer Bob Lonsberry tweeted, "Boomer is the N-word of ageism.
No.
Being hip and flip does not make bigotry
No.
okay,
Okay,
nor
Andre,
is
wait,
a
Andre's
derisive
coming on.
epithet
All right, hold on. This is,
acceptable."
this is our
Because
other
it's
guy.
new. Okay, what do you
I
feel?
just want to say confirmed. That's a no.
For the black community?
Black community, that's a hard no.
That's a hard no.
Ju-
That is the right N-word.
You've heard it
no,
here.
no,
You
no.
heard it here on the Chris Collins show. The
But-
OK Boomer
but
is
how-
not as bad
but-
as the N-word.
Yeah.
But to me, it's
Confirmed.
like, are millennials, like as you quoted, which I thought was so funny, are millennials lazy leeches living in their parents' basements? 'Cause
No.
I don't think so.
No,
wish I
I
was.
think we need to stop obsessing over each other's differences and start like doing some research and listening to each
Yeah.
other. I think that's why we're having an ageism problem right
Yeah.
now.
And listening to each other also goes in with what does Samantha want for Christmas? Are your parents listening? What do you want for Christmas?
So yes, just to kind of lighten the mood for the Christmas holiday spirit.
I would like for Christmas someone to develop a dating application that doesn't turn to garbage when you turn 30. That's what I would
that's
like.
really difficult.
eHarmony's not working out.
Okay,
or,
Cupid. Okay, Cupid, ain't your
Okay,
thing.
No, oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like from back when I was like 19.
Well, you
or
know what's
something.
really
Okay,
funny?
Cupid.
It's funny that you say that. I see on YouTube ads all the time now where it's like this new video call chat thing
Yeah.
where like literally someone will like, it'll be like this girl and you can tell it's so acting. She's like, "Wow, do you want me to see a dance? You want me to dance for you?" And they're like
Ew.
30. Yeah, right. And I'm thinking that's 30 years old. I'm like, what is up with the millennial generation being so darn stubborn to go out and start dating? Is it
I don't
because
know
of
that
politics?
there's stuff.
Are they
I
afraid
like
that they
going
have
on
to
a
like
date.
I think
mention?
we're all on dating applications, and I think it's so easy to be like, "Ew, this person's conservative. Ew, this person's liberal,"
Right.
and just like swipe left on practically everyone.
I low-key
Yeah.
actually deleted all my dating apps off mine probably
Good.
like a month and a half ago, and Snapchat,
I have
because
to
all
tell you,
I
I've deleted mine like 3 different times, and then I eventually always.
and
go
then you
back
always
on
want
it.
to because
Yeah.
you
It's that
want
bottle of wine late at night. You're
Isn't
like,
that true?
hey, man, there's still got to be some
Yeah. You're
good-looking fishy out
Right?
there.
You're like, I'm kind of cold, and my little chihuahua's not really doing enough to make
You
me feel good.
develop
in the
weird
moment.
That's
rules.
really
Like
weird,
I have
Chris.
a rule that if a guy's making a hang 10 sign, I like will not match with him.
Oh man, see that's my
Against the
downfall.
rules.
I'm like, you got no job, living in mama's garage. I was like, homie,
If
come
I
here.
see a woman have like a tat on her chest, that's like a no-go for me. But Marissa, what
what?
is it for you?
What, a no go?
Yeah,
money probably. I've only ever dated poor people.
Well,
So
how do you
must
know
be
whether
like,
they
wait a
have
minute.
money on a dating app?
because they can take me out on a date.
Because
we're
every-
like the poor
Yeah.
guy, be like, "What's up, baby? You want McDonald's and
Well,
chill?"
anytime they say that they're a CEO or they're self-employed,
Ooh, self-employed.
run the other direction. That is code for fun
Yes.
employed.
Self-employed.
Please
There you go.
run, run if you need to.
So,
okay?
listeners out there, Samantha needs a good dating app.
Yes.
Let's get it there.
Right. Maybe it might be the fitness app. Maybe you might go to the gym and you might find your partner there.
Oh, his friend has a fitness app.
I know
where
I'm
you could-
blinking out
oh,
at the moment.
Oh my God.
But
In the break,
Okay.
we're gonna connect.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. Okay, we just solved
I
Samantha's
think
Christmas present.
yeah, but my dating situation is still down the drain.
Chris, you're
but-
not allowed to date. I've already told you this.
Oh.
I have locked you to the show. You're not allowed to date.
Oh.
You date when you're
Wow.
successful.
Well, date when you're
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely right on that one. I don't feel comfortable going out on dates without no moolah. But Samantha Mehlinger, thank you so much for being a part of the Chris
Yes.
Collins Show.
you.
She writes a phenomenal column called The Millennial Pulse. Do not miss a beat. It's for every kind of topics about our generation.
Very true.
And where can they find you on social media?
On social media, at Sam Mehlinger on Twitter.
All right, rock and roll, and we will see you again in the future. 2020. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for all those of you who have been streaming with us this morning, please continue to listen to our show by going to thechriscollinsshow.com and click the on-air button.
What's good, listeners? I'm the host of The Chris Collins Show, and if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button below and check us out at thechriscollinsshow.com. Peace.